One of Pyká's many strengths is asset management. Like Pyká projects, assets aren't singular instances, but exist in a family tree with their previous versions. In a Pyká library, an asset is never ever duplicated. In fact, when a user commits changes to a project, Pyká checks new versions of your assets against older versions. It looks for any data that is the same and only saves the data that was changed. Then, when Pyká is recreating a branch folder, it reconstructs your assets using the previous versions. That way, no data is unnecessarily duplicated and file space stays low. And when an asset gets reused, it's still only stored once. So let's learn a bit more about how assets work in Pyká. Pyká has two ways to import an asset. The first is straightforward. Just include an asset in an open branch folder. Then when you commit, Pyká will send the new asset to the managing user to process into the library. Once the asset is processed into the library, it is available for everyone to use in their projects. The second way we import an asset is by dragging it into our library. Let's drag this asset into our library. Pyká will quickly analyze this asset and offer an import panel. Like Pyká projects, assets are meant to be highly searchable. Let's change the name of this asset so it makes more sense in a library. If this asset is primarily used by one client, then let's add it to the client field. Now, let's add some categories to our asset so it's more searchable. Finally, let's click Import. The asset is uploaded to our library to be processed by the managing user. Since most people have too many assets to categorize manually, Pyká reduces this workload while keeping assets searchable in three different ways. First, assets that are imported for the first time through projects inherit their information from the project itself. Second, assets inherit their information from previous versions. And third, Pyká allows you to bulk edit your assets. To edit an asset, click an asset in your visualizer and click the Edit button. Let's add some more categories to this asset. Now let's click the Upload Changes button. Our changes are sent to the managing user to be processed into the library. What if we want to bulk edit our assets? Let's start by selecting multiple assets. Now let's click the Edit button. The Edit Multiple Items panel allows us to edit all of the information our selection has in common. Since we've selected assets, it lets us edit the information fields pertaining to assets. It looks like these assets are missing a client. Let's add one, but be careful. Any changes we make will be applied to all assets. Now click Upload Changes to send these changes to our managing user to process. Sometimes it's important to see the history of an asset's versions. What if you found the right asset but want to use a different version? To look at the history of an asset, select an asset and click the Tree button. This displays every version of an asset that has ever existed in Pyká. If you have a magic pad, you can pinch to zoom in and out on the tree. Oftentimes we need to reuse a common asset. This might be a logo or a photo that is frequently used in a campaign. Whatever the reason, the quickest and easiest way to add an asset to a branch is by clicking and dragging it to the branch. By adding an asset through Pyká, this allows Pyká to save valuable project space. Let's drag this image to our project branch. The first thing Pyká wants to know is where in our branch folder we'll be saving this asset. Select the folder you wish to save the asset in and click Open. Pyká automatically saves the asset in your branch folder, and it is now available to be used in your project.